Hi guys, and welcome to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about Fall of Thunder. I'm going to give my personal review on how I thought the film was. My review is sort of good and bad with this, so yeah. So please like this video and please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to click on the notification bell so you're updated by any future videos. And if you haven't seen my last video that I posted, it was how to draw a rose drawing tutorial. And I know there's been a lot of people watching it, but I haven't had many interaction. I haven't had much interaction on it. So if you haven't seen it, please come and watch it. So I'm going to give a backstory a little bit behind it, and then I'm going to tell you what I personally think about it. So the story starts where obviously Christian Bale is with his daughter, and he's holding his daughter, and eventually his daughter dies, and then he goes to show mercy on a god in this he starts eating and drinking the food of this god's garden, and he starts saying stuff about what he did and stuff like that, and where he get his reward, and obviously the god says that he's not going to get any reward, etc. And eventually he lifts him up into the air, and the sword chooses Christian Bale, and he becomes Gore the God Butcher, and he kills the god as well. And then obviously it goes on where Corgie's telling the story in front of all these people about Thor and how long he's gone on, and they talk about his relationship with Jane and them not being together, and he's with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's these creatures that ask for his help to help him, help them because of all the creatures that are destroying his palace, and obviously he does because he's Thor. And then he ends up accidentally breaking the castle, which I found quite funny. And then obviously the people reward him to thank you for helping us, and they give him these two goats who scream constantly all the time, which is kind of funny. And then obviously Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor part ways because he's upset about Jane and that he's on his own, and obviously he's lost Loki, so Loki in this timeline is officially dead. Not in the timeline as per se, because he's still alive in the Loki series, but that's another Loki variant, so it's not actually Loki, so he's technically died. And obviously then there's this new Asgard that's been created as well, and Valkyrie's sort of like a queen or king of the new Asgard, which was created. And then there's trouble with Gore because he makes these sort of horrible creatures that attack, and Thor sees him and tries to attack him, and then there's a big fight between him and Gore. And then they take the kids away from them all. And as he's fighting these creatures, he comes across Jane, who obviously it cuts to Jane in the story where she's diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she is getting chemo, and Darcy's there, and she doesn't know what to do. And then she finds a book which says that Majonia will bring health to her if she uses it. And so Majonia calls to her, and she becomes female Thor. And obviously she bumps into Thor, which is Chris Hemsworth, and he says, he's shocked, and he goes, "Oh, who are you? I don't know who you are," and all this and that. "I would like you to remove your thing to show your face." and then she shows her face, and obviously Thor recognises that it's Jane that he was in love with, and they're not together now. And so then he tries to fight Gore, which I talked about, and then Gore takes all the children away from them to some place which they don't know. And Astrid is in it, who is Heimdall's son as well, but he calls himself Axel, and he could do, you know, the transporting thing like he can do in Thor Ragnarok, as well. Just to find out where the children actually are, and the children are in the Shadow Realm. Eventually, he finds out, and they have to work together, like Jane, Valkyrie, and Thor, and Korg as part of a team. So they go to this place where Zeus is, and they try to seek out Zeus's help, but Zeus says stuff and doesn't want to help them. And there's a scene where he strips off his clothes, Chris Hemsworth's clothes, and Thor is now naked, and that I found that really, you know, attractive. You know, it was really like, because you can see all of Chris Hemsworth's muscles. Sorry, it's just me. You know, I got kind of turned on by it. You know, and then obviously Zeus says no. And he says something about like he's looking for eternal life and all this and the eternity thing. And then they say, what's that? And they say it's just a realm where you can wish to be whatever, but you won't have that choice. So Zeus won't help them, so obviously they need the Thunderbolt as well. And then he throws the Thunderbolt at Zeus and kills him, and he dies. And then they try to fight everyone as well, and then Cog, he does like he throws something and Cog falls into a million pieces as well, and like, you know, his face is the only thing that's like so Valkyrie has to take him, and slowly but surely Jane uses the hammer, and she's female for the mighty Thor. And obviously Chris Hemsworth talks to her and says like that he feels bad and he wants to be with her. And then she says, I'm dying and I have stage 4 cancer, and explains everything to him, and he says, oh, I don't want you to, you know, die. But she says, the only thing that gives her health is Majonia. And then they sort of reunite in the film again. And they all plan to just get together, and then they try to kill Gore so they can get the kids back, and then that's their plan. And obviously Gore ties Thor and everyone else up in this like goop sort of place in the Shadow Realm, and he says to Jane that you're dead anyway, and says all this horrible stuff like a villain does. And they use the Gaunts and his hammer, like Thor's hammer has an axe and no hammer, and he uses that to teleport to different realms and stuff as well. But I just found the sheep really funny in the film because they was constantly screaming in it when they was like travelling. And eventually the main task to go is that they have to destroy his, you know, sword, so then they can get the kids. But obviously Jane becomes weak at a certain point, and it's basically Thor tells her that she's becoming weak because obviously Majonia can't cope with her mortal body, and that mortal body is dying pretty much, and that if she uses it again, she will probably die. So Thor goes on his own, and Valkyrie and Jane stay where they are. Then obviously Thor stays on, like Thor goes and tries to get the kids on his own, and it kind of fails a little bit. and he's trying to fight them, and obviously he gets the kids to help him out. Like he says, get a weapon, choose your weapon, and we're gonna fight together. And he uses the Thunderbolt to give them all their weapons like powers as well. And they all fight. They all fight the creatures, and they fight. Then he tries to fight Gorn. Obviously, Gorn's really strong, which is Christian Bale. And obviously, Jane, the Mjolnir that Jane uses, comes to her and tells her that, you know, and she thinks, oh, I'm going to help. And then she helps, and then obviously, Thor is like, Jane, you know, what have you done? Well, not what have you done. She just looks at, he looks like that, like, Jane, you know, you shouldn't have done that. And then obviously Jane destroys. He opens his portal. He's trying to open his portal so he can get to the other side. And Jane destroys the sword, and he just has no powers now. And then when he goes through the portal, he asks and wishes that his daughter would be back to life. But he says that I'm dying, so why would anyone want to see? Obviously, Force tells him that it's not about what you think, it's about love and loving someone. And then obviously Gore says, what's the point of loving me, because she has no one to love, because she'd be on her own, because I'm dying, because he's dying. And then obviously he tries to be with Jane, and obviously she's just slowly dying because she uses the Mjolnir, and she says keep your heart open, and then she dies in the end, Jane. And then obviously Gore says to Thor, you know, look after my love, which is his daughter. And then at the end, Thor adopts Gore's child and uses her as like sort of like a little niece, you know, and she calls him Uncle Thor and everything. And they go out fighting. Obviously, the other kids are all learning how to do self-defense at the end of the film, and Valkyrie's helping them. And then obviously Thor and the kid end up fighting monsters, but she's like really cute as well. She like puts makeup all over Mjolnir, turns it into like a pretty thing, and then he goes, oh, well, that looks good. And obviously she calls him Uncle Thor as well. And it's funny because there's a bit where she talks about the pancakes, because he gives the pancakes, and she says, you know, oh, what are these? And he tells what they are, and she says, what if I don't like them? And then there's actually a cutscene then at the end of the film. There's two cutscenes. The first one is obviously Zeus isn't dead, who's played by Russell Crowe, and he has his son Hercules help them to probably destroy Thor. And then the second sort of like, you know, credit scene is where Heimdall welcomes Jane into Valhalla, and he says something about his son, that thanks for looking after him and stuff, as well. Astrid, who calls himself Axel in the film, which is kind of funny. But in my opinion, the whole film was a really good story, but at the same time it was kind of sad because Jane uses Mjolnir for powers so she can stay healthy. And I did like Thor's costume in the film as well. And obviously it was a perfect print as well. But the only thing I just hated was it just wasn't the same. I don't think it was as good as the other three Thor films, in my opinion. I did love it, and I just thought the ending was really poor, and there was no comedy as much. And there was a play bit in the film with Melissa McCarthy and Matt Damon as Loki, and Luke Hemsworth, as Thor, and I found that not really funny as such, and it was just lacking in certain places, and I'm not, I'm not a big fan of it all. So I have to say it's not the best film, and that Ragnarok is probably better than any of the other ones because it was more funny and it's the best that Tak has ever done anyway. But I know a lot of people are going to say that they liked it and they didn't dislike it, but I do dislike it. It's not the best Thor film, I'd say. So that's my opinion on it, but obviously other people are going to have opinions about it. So obviously let me know what your opinions are of this, but I didn't really like it very much. But there's my review of Thor Love and Thunder. I'm sorry if this video was a bit long, I just had to sort of tell the story and, give my review on it. So, I hope you all have a wonderful day today, and obviously stay tuned for new videos. Like I said, if you haven't watched my previous video, please do, and I will see you all guys in the next video. Bye bye.